Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids.
Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV yet again. Welcome to this, the 79th reply to comments video. Yes, it's a video in which I get to reply to your comments. 79, can you believe we've done so many? The reason I make these videos is because I don't have time to reply to all my comments by text, yet I get an awful lot of comments from people and I feel obliged to reply to them. Some of the comments are long, thought out, very interesting. So I kind of feel I should do, really. At the same time, at the same time, it takes too long to reply to them. But so I do these comments reply video. Now these videos. Now you might think to yourself, that's no good, is it? Because like I said, you say you want to reply to our comments. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to do a 9-hour video, and that's a reply to one comment I want to make. Well, guess what? It's not a problem, because you see, I always leave a timestamp under the comment I'm replying to. It says, thanks for your comment, it will be answered approximately within the first, second, third. I always put the first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, etc. of the upcoming comments reply video. And so you know within an hour when I'm going to be replying to your comments. Now, so that's not too bad, is it? 1 hour. That's all you have to wait. Put it on while you're at the maximum. Put it on while you're preparing dinner in the background or something. Now, you might also, let's face it, I mean, I do comment reply videos much more frequently than I used to. I try to do them every 2 weeks or so. Sometimes I let them go for 3 weeks. I used to do them every 2 months. So as a result, because I do them more often, my comment reply videos are getting shorter. They very rarely go over 4 hours these days. So that's another reason. So you could watch the whole thing. Now I know a lot of you do watch them all the way through anyway, and you enjoy them. That's another reason for doing the comments reply videos, and I enjoy making them. They're some of my favourites, actually. So there you go. That's the whole thing. Right. So with no further ado, let us go straight to the last reply, the comments reply video I made before. What was it? The last comment I made before the comments reply video that I've just done. Okay, so we'll go straight to Steve Mumbling. Now this is he put this was actually just after I posted I basically he was in conversation with Stephen the Crafty Nihilist, which talked about Steve was talking about, well, I can't prove I haven't got a dog that flies, but I can claim it. And Steve basically says to me here, and it's just as true now, isn't it? Well, Steve, if you watched the video, which you must have done, you'll know that I gave you a full answer to that. So, yeah, definitely. So, right, Gin Skim Pivot says here on UFO Disclosure 2023, Grush 10 days on. Now, Grush 10 days on was also the last comment I got, actually, on this. Okay. Gin Skim Pivot says, scientific study of unidentified flying objects, quote, quote, it was a whitewash, I've never read it, Hynek called it a 1,000-page lie or something like that, unquote. Okay. So let me get this straight, Ben. The problem as you see it is the wrong type of research, closed minds, double standards and hypocrisy, isn't it? Not universally, no, Jin. I mean, there are individuals within ufology like that. There are individuals within science like that. There are individuals everywhere like that. That's not the central problem, I think, with ufology. The central problem with ufology is it's not well, can I coin an oft-used modern cliche of exopolitics? It's not about lights in the skies, it's about lies on the ground. He carries on. Apollo is fake, not because you've researched the project science. It's independently sponsored surface experiments, hundreds of analyses a year on lunar geology, and whether or not any part of it flouts physics. Because Alan Henderson Walsh et al. Told you so. No, I don't think that's the case. She says, got it. All right. Jin is very frustrating to talk to, because I sometimes get the feeling, Jin, you're not really listening to me. And I know maybe you feel the same way about me. As a result, we're sort of on cross purposes a bit. Because you've left me a couple of comments where you say something like, oh, for the last time I'm going to ask you this, to something I have already replied to. So a conversation with Jin is a bit like this, you know. I went to see Gone with the Wind. It was a really good film. Jin replies, Ben, in your last video you said how much you hated Gone with the Wind. Why is that? I replied to Jin, I never said I hated Gone with the Wind. I said I thought it was a really good film. Jin, why won't you reply to my comments and tell me why you hate Gone with the Wind so much? Ben, I just did. I told you I don't hate it. I really like it. Jin, for the last time, I'm going to ask you. You have evaded and dodged my question, and you have ignored me. Why do you hate Gone with the Wind so much? Now, when someone talks like that, it's almost impossible to get into a dialogue with them. Jin's not always like that. I do give him a chance, and I try. I think it is a he. I give him a chance, and I try to. I think I do my best to try and get into dialogue with him. But it's just these are obstacles. It's not just Jin who does this. This is common among skeptics. I just have to do the best I can. Right, so we have a reply to comment 78. Darren Retro says, first, well done, Darren. Tinfoil hat is on its way to you. And Orbit 80Y says underneath, Darren, there are no words for my unbridled jealousy. I want to scratch her eyes out. Darren says, ooh, get her. Orbit 80 says, don't assume my gender. Reply to comment 78. Influxus says, I just ate a burg. B-U-R-G. Is that a burger? Is that a bug, as in a bug burger? You know, like Klaus Schwab wants us all to eat? Or is that, or did you just were you just riding your bike and one flew into your mouth, which often happens? Same video, Stephen Truthseeker. I heard on Ivor Cummings that YouTube has lifted the ban on talking about masks. I don't know they had lifted the ban on talking about the J word, that is the JV, you know. I don't know, Stephen. I mean, the thing about it is I'm annoyed actually with YouTube because I heard that they've lifted the ban on talking about January the 6th. And as a result, you know, they actually deleted my videos and gave my channel a strike, literally just before that, as if it's as if they wanted to get that in before they changed the rules, bastards. I think they may have done that on purpose. I mean, Terry Joyce has had a strike on her channel now for talking about just making a comedy video about the Maxwell case. I mean, it's just annoying, isn't it? Anyway, Wobbly Willy Willikers says on 78, prepare ye. I'm prepared, Willie, yes. Crafty says, joined 6 days ago and only commented on Ben's channel. Yeah, that's a good point, Crafty, yes. And Wobbly says, good for you, hope you like his videos. No, Crafty's talking about you, Willie, and I did mention in the last video I thought it was a bit strange that I am on my guard against people trying to infiltrate this community under fake identities, because I've had numerous trolls over the years. You have literally just joined YouTube. Your channel is completely blank except for your avatar, and you've got no favourites, no uploads, no subs, nothing. And you're only commenting on my videos. So who are you? You understand why I'm curious about who you are. I'm not going to denounce you as a troll straight away. It's just strange like that, I think. Willie says here on 78, Shermer is an interesting one. He's been teetering on the edge of crossing over for a while now. He has indeed. If you listen to his Joe Rogan Experience interviews with Graham Hancock, yes, it's extremely. He appears to be, ever since he has his experience at his wedding, which I talk about in my Skeptic video. I think Shermer has been rethinking things, and he did an interview with Michael Schellenberger lately, and about UFOs. And although he put forward the skeptic position, it's pretty clear he was impressed with Schellenberger, talking about David Grush and his evidence. So yeah, we could see a major defection from a very high level part of the Politburo at the Skeptic Socialist Republic. So yeah. Charles Scott says here, right, this is Charles. If this is not original, I'm not reading it. It was not my intention to be rude. I made a statement of fact, etc., etc. Oh bloody heck! No, sorry, Charles, I'm not interested. Willie says something here. Now, if you're gonna have a go at people, all right? I'm just gonna check you're not having a go at people. This is a thread where Willie talks to Charles, and it is pure drivel. This is just nonsense. I'm not going to read any of this stuff out. Alright, Charles, it looks like Charles and Willie are having an argument now. I'm just going to let you get on with them. I'm going to let you get on with it. Like I said, Charles, if you are getting an argument with other people and they give you as good as they get, I'm going to leave you to it. If you start picking on someone who unprovoked, who doesn't deserve it and doesn't give you as good as you get, then I'm gonna ban you straight away if you do that. You understand? And that goes for everyone. You don't do that on my channel. Hugo Rune says on 78, I'm not sure what you mean. I'm confused. I never see ads on your prorogs. Ever. I think you mean programs. I don't have ads. I'm not monetized, Hugo. There are ads on some of my videos, but those are because of third-party copyright strikes. They are not. They're not because of. They're not because of my policy. I don't have anything. As Hugo says, damn, this bloody keyboard must replace. I'm not sure you need to replace the keyboard, Hugo. You just need to cut down a little bit on the old waxies, you know. Well, Willie says, yes, you need a quality American keyboard, not that rickety UK Chinese produced garbage. Right. Willie says here, excuse me, line 78. If you read correctly, you are saying a backslapper is a person, not a piece of technology or an aircraft part. Is that correct? Yes. I explained to you what a backslapper is. Willie says here, you are really confusing at times, Ben. Well, I'll try and clarify for you, Willie. So, Richard D. Hall beat himself up with a metal spike and an old lady saw it and was traumatised. No, that's not what I said. The guy needs help if that happened. By the way, I watch your videos in the order they come up in my recommendations. You have the wrong dates all over them. No, I don't. The dates are when I upload them. Right. So yeah. No, what I said, Richard D. Hall has not harmed anyone, I believe. He has been misrepresented. And I gave the example, I gave the old lady analogy of the old lady getting into a taxi and disappearing to the airport. And then the right thing to do is to go to the police and say you saw her being beaten up. Is that correct? Because I don't think that is. 78 Woody Black. Hey, Woody. Says here, nah, with Sam Cedar. Recently he's wearing clear like transparent frames and horn rims. But transparent. I tried to post a link, but it didn't work. If you look at his new vid, the glasses he's wearing there, and if you're going to sub to him, be aware he is a lefty tosser. He's one of my hate follows, like Vorsh. All right, Woody. I did sub to him because I did find him interesting. Although, like you said, he's a lefty tosser. And I did actually see I saw your link. I had to liberate it from the spam folder, but I did see it. And I did go watch the video. I did watch the video of Sam Cedar. Yeah, I mean, I sub to Vorsh as well. I do sub and watch a lot of people I don't agree with. Some people I don't really like particularly. I sub Steve Mumbling, things like that. Because I like to hear the other side of the story, basically. 78 Hugo Rune. Ben, very good video, thank you. You're welcome, Hugo. You're very welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. The lights were low, says on 78. Hey Ben, so much of RTC has been commandeered, or reply to comments has been commandeered by Max Q or Willie, not sure which, but the classic way they lead you into commenting on their mainly irrelevant comments brings back a reminder of something we've seen earlier. Just saying. All right. I don't know if firstly Max Q I've blocked. And as you say, commandeer. Now, they do put a lot of material on there. They do put a lot of material on the channel. I'm not going to read. I don't read all of it out. For example, if I think that there's a long conversation between Charles and Willie, Charles Scott and Willie earlier on, an entire thread which I did not read out. I didn't read it out for that reason because I don't want to bore the viewers. I don't want the reply to comments videos to be commandeered, as you put it, by irrelevance and nonsense and things which are just designed, and I think some of them are designed to waste my time. And I don't want to do that. On the other hand, though, I mean, I'm not going. If they make a point, I'm not going to ignore it. And I mean, I know a lot of people don't like what they say, and a lot of people wish I wouldn't talk to them. I mean, I get messages from somebody who regularly comments on my channel. He still inboxes me every so often. Ben, I don't understand why you don't block Steve Mumbling. Because Steve hasn't done anything to which he deserves to be blocked. I've deleted a couple of his comments where he goes over the top. But I'm actually replying to him because by replying to him, I'm not actually addressing him when I'm replying to him. I'm addressing you, the audience. I unpick the mistakes and falsehoods and other things that he gets wrong. In which case I think I educate the viewers. And I mean, whatever happens, there's no way I'm ever going to say something like, "Oh, well, Lights, I don't have time to give a long reply to you because I've spent all this time with Willie and Charles." I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to there's never going to be a position where the people you consider legitimate commenters are going to be sidelined, or I'm going to just ignore them because Charles and Willie are taking up too much time and space and mental energy. That's not going to happen. I promise you. Willie says, "If you have something to say, then have the good manners to address me directly." Willie, he does have something to say, but he wanted to say it to me, and he's addressing me directly. Understood? Light says, "My apologies. It was not my intention to offend, and as I can't play keyboard warriors, my one-finger typing and lack of perfect English literature means I thought I would allow Ben to mediate it again. Again, no offence meant." Willie says, "No harm done." Oh, good. I'm glad you two are still mates. 78. Cole Costello 160 says, "Need to get some backslappers merch." Well, I do. Maybe I should. I mean, for goodness sake, Stephen Cambion has his like a UFO wackadoo T-shirt, or praise the cash. And what's the other thing? He has UFO circle jerk special and things like that. He has a whole load of merch for his backslapping. So yeah, Willie says Ben's backslapping bonanza. Yeah. Oh, Pioneer Spirits 78. "Hello, Brother Porter." This is Trevor from the Third Rail Radio. "Hello, Brother Porter. Pride and dignity to you." How do you do? I salute you, Brother Porter. Porter's pride and dignity. He also says, "Happy Father's Day, Ben." Oh, thanks. That was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Yes. Same to you. Hospital Porter's pride and dignity. Trevor says, "Sam Cedar is a stinking Marxist." I'm gathering that. Yeah, I'll still read what he has to. I'll still watch what he has to say. But yeah, I often listen to what a lot of people I don't agree with has to say. Look at Steve. Look at Steve mumbling. Hugo Rune says here on reply to comment 78. "Ben, please forgive this comment." He puts that in at the beginning. Oh, I'll never forget this book. I read this book about this. It's written by a friend of mine. Actually, she's a housewife from Sheffield, and she also writes books and self-publishes them. Jude Calvert-Toulmin. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she wrote this book called My Adventures in Cyberspace, and it's about a woman called Dominique Dubois. And it's an interesting book. I must admit, some of it is basically, on one level, it's pornographic. It's very, very saucy indeed. It leaves nothing to the imagination either. But on another level, it is a story. It's about this woman and her life, her loves and lives and things like that. And her husband, like one day, she and her husband have a very acrimonious divorce. And at one point, before all this happens, he turns to her and he says, "Please forgive me for what I'm about to do." And that's a very strange thing. Anyway, Hugo says, it's just reminded me when Hugo puts right at the start, he puts, "Ben, please forgive this comment." But there is a little something that has bugged me for years about you, but it's not important, so kept my opinion to myself. I hate America and all things American, and that you wear a baseball cap backwards. Baseball cap equals IQ reducer. Worn backwards as you do makes it an IQ negator. So sorry, but the decision is made. I will watch your videos. I love them, but I will never comment again. Oh, Hugo, okay, well, I've forgiven you in advance. The hat I wear is actually, it used to be a baseball cap. I wear it backwards because you see the peak has gone. It's actually Australian. So it's got an Australian flag on it, and the peak has broken. And I put it on because if I didn't, I get this big shiny spot on my bald head. I wear this. Let me check I've got it back on. That's why I wear this baseball cap. Alright, it's just like part of what I do. Okay, Dark Corners UK 78. 44:38 minutes. Ben becomes a Dalek. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I had a little bit of like a. And Willie says a Cyberman. Yeah, I had a little bit of interference. I don't know what caused that. I had a bit of interference on my microphone. Hope that doesn't happen again. I don't know how to prevent that or why it happened. It might happen again. Hopefully not. 78 Donna Wellham 7595 7 says, Ben, have to catch up on YouTube. Been busy outside in the garden. Hi Donna. Well, it's nice weather for it, and I hope you enjoy the video. Willie says here, will be Willie Willikers on 78. I can't find info on a skeptic body language, what's called language expert called Lou Gomez, so a link would be appreciated. Lou Gomez. No, it's Christina Gomez, and she's not a body language expert. She's a ufologist. But no, there's this guy called, well, Jordan Sather uses this person, and I can't remember what they're called, but they're a body language expert. Anyway, a mellotron is that electronic organ that sounds very much like a theremin, which was popular in the 1970s. Maracas with dried peas were often used with it, and they were often origin common. It wasn't anything to do with the crashed UFO parts, so I don't know who told you that. Okay, well, thank you very much for the information. If you've been taking piano lessons from the guy upstairs, that will explain why you aren't very good. I haven't. I don't play the piano at all. He's too chaotic, and his playing sounds like it's coming from a very disturbed mind. Well, I don't know. He just tends to do like scales and arpeggios and things rather than playing tunes. Which is a bit. He sometimes sings along as well. But you know, you're hearing it through the ceiling from the flat above, so maybe that's why it doesn't sound right. No, I did not support Corso. I wish you'd stop saying this. I don't think... Did I say that? Believe him if you want to, but I think Corso's book is one of the most terribly written, messy, self-contradictory pieces of literary junk I've ever seen. Hope that clears a few things up. All right. I don't remember saying you supported Corso. I don't support Corso. I wasn't very impressed with his book either. It seems that Bill Burns seemed to disown it because his name on the cover is in very small letters, and he's not referred to at all in the content, even though he's the co-author. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean there, Willie. What happened to Sarah Everard? Okay, this is a video from a couple of years ago about a really horrible person, a horrible incident, a horrible person, and quite a lot of horrible people actually. Heavy Man. Remember, Wayne Couzens was given a PlayStation in prison for good behaviour. Oh right. Yeah. Unless they've let him out and he's, I don't know, maybe they're using him for something else. I don't know. Sarah Everard update. Popcorn Boxing. That's what did I mention it was Popcorn Boxing who spoke before as well. Interesting, he got better treatment now with that PlayStation he has been given. I can't imagine he's in too much danger in prison. He'll be, considering the crime he committed, you know, rape and murder, and the fact that he's a policeman, he'll be kept in the nonces wing, away from the other prisoners. But they'll have ways of getting to them, though. I mean, prisoners are very, very ingenious in the way they plan their attack. You know, they plan the revenge they have on people. Okay, Charles Scott says. All right, Charles Scott says here on 78. In all seriousness, all right, this is better be. All right, this is better be original, Charles. You skipped my comment because of your lying claim. Nope, I'm moving on. Charles says here on 78, onwards, you claim you've already been through that. I have. You never address my shape-shifting reptilians comment anywhere. That's because your reptilian shape-shifting comments were all buried. They're a little needle you put in, and you buried them in your usual haystack of drivel and repetitive nonsense and things that I'm just tired of talking to you about. Would you please just stop going on with the old OLM stuff, you know, outer limits, bollocks, alright? Just focus on original stuff. I'll answer any questions you've got to ask me on reptilian shapeshifters. Could you please repeat them in a separate question? And please just leave out the padding. You can't blame me for missing new things you put into your comments when it's like 2 sentences in the middle of your multi-paragraph tirade about outer limits and how I lied and stuff like this. You're not working with me here, Charles. Black Circle says on 78, thank you for reading my comment. You're very welcome, Black Circle. Thanks for commenting. 78 Willie says, no, Ben, graffiti is significantly and historically more important than street art, quote unquote. Graffiti was the catalyst that started the fall of the Roman Empire. I don't know about, was it? I mean, it's interesting that there is graffiti in old Roman sites like Pompeii, which are very well preserved because Pompeii was buried under volcanic ash. and is very, very well preserved, including the graffiti on the walls, which is quite interesting. Now, you may wish to dismiss it as simple vandalism. I don't. I mean, it is if you're scrawling something nonsense on people's private property, that's vandalism. But graffiti is mostly put in public areas, and it's usually quite. It's not just like rude words. It's often something artistic. But let me tell you, it was the pleb classes that used graffiti to seed disquiet among the Roman subjugation, leading to the rise of the plebs and the fall of the empire. All right. Well, graffiti, as you know, as I've explained, graffiti can be used for political agitation. I'm sure it was in Roman times, and it still is today. Look at the amazing murals in places like Northern Ireland and South America, which are very elaborate. They're very elaborate street art used for as political propaganda. I even give some examples in my video of graffiti, graffitos all across Oxford, which could be described as that. There's some more coming up in the next one as well. Charles Scott says on 78, you said I haven't presented rubbish, I've presented facts and truth. All right, I'm just tired of talking about these, what you call facts and truths. I'm tired of it, Charles. I'm not going to continue a conversation I've been having with you for an entire year. Charles Scott says, I've seen Sasha Christie's blog from October 2018. It's earlier than that, Charles. And it said you lost your hospital porter job for filming yourself slapping a fellow colleague with learning difficulties, and you will be arrested if you enter the hospital unless you're dying. It also had pictures of you with a helmet, children's sword, etc., claiming you were off to meet someone for a fight, and a picture of you as judgmental. All right, I don't know who judgmental is. Is that like a Is that like something Sylvester Stallone plays or something? Yeah, I lost my hospital porter's job for reasons. I have actually shared you the link because you did ask me for a link of which explains how I lost my hospital portering position. I was accused of abusing of bullying a colleague with learning difficulties. I was accused of basically happy slapping him, yes, which was false. This was a false accusation, and I explained why. And pictures of you with a helmet and a children's sword. Yes, that's in a film. You can watch the entire video. Actually, it's called "Confronting Droik." And I was off to meet someone for I can't say that word for legal reasons, but I was off to meet somebody for a direct face-to-face confrontation. Somebody who'd always brazenly abused me online, and I wanted to see if they were willing to meet me face-to-face rather than just mouthing off at me on the internet. I mean, anyone can have what Larry Warren calls internet balls, which is where you just go online and from behind the comfort and safety of your computer, you can just call people anything you want, knowing there are no consequences. It's a very different matter to say those things to somebody's face. And I just asked this person to meet up with me and to say these things to my face. And if you want to know what happens, you have to watch the film Confronting Droik. Okay, here we go. At 78, Charles Scott. I have a screenshot after 3 minutes of YouTube visibility when signed out. So I know software won't be spamming my comment now. What is your explanation, Ben, for the Sasha Christie blog losing your job, which appears to be shocking behaviour, and using a plastic bendy sword for a fight? I think BZ Garson might have mentioned this too. All right. Charles, you just repeated the last comment you made. I've sent you a link to a portal notice in which I describe everything about how I lost my job. As for why I had the plastic bendy sword, it's in the film Confronting Droik. If you want to know about how I've got there's a whole list of I don't actually have a portal for it. Maybe I should make one. But there was a whole list of articles I've written, including and several videos, and indeed a couple of radio shows on HPANWO Radio where I provide an answer to the accusations made against me and others on Sasha Christie's website. Okay. Zigstar says, don't drag me into this, please. Who's Zigstar? If this is BZ Garson comes back, I'm blocking him again. Who is this? It is BZ Garson. Hang on a minute. Did I block you? No, it was Cornelius Crew I blocked. I blocked Cornelius Crew. I didn't block you in the end, but BZ, you will. If you step over the line, I will block you. I think I gave you a warning. Charles says, I wasn't sure if you mentioned this before. Whatever, I won't mention it again, and Ben should only address me over this matter and not you. Whether he skips this comment remains to be seen. Well, I haven't skipped it this time because you said something new. And you have my reply, Charles. Okay, all the information you need is already available on my publications on HPANWO. Okay. I said this to you last time, or whoever it was. I'll say it again. Now I've provided you with that information. Please don't come back to me next week and say, Ben, will you please answer my question and provide me with the answers to my question? All right, because then I'm getting. This is the thing. Anyway, Gary Robinson, hello. It's on 78 here. Hey Ben, in regards to shadow banning, try to look at it as a mountain that you have to climb. I'll try. This is what I'm trying to do, Gary, yeah. In my business, for example, if I launch a new music artist or record label, they are shadow banned by default on Apple Music, Spotify and YouTube, etc. This is because they're required to play the game in order to start bypassing the shadow banning and gaining visibility. I suppose they have to reach a certain level of popularity, Gary, yeah. I mean, the shadow banning done for political moderation, though, is different. It's not put out as a kind of challenge for someone to overcome to prove they're worthy of more visibility. It is a specific attempt to prevent their visibility because you don't like their opinions. So it's a very, very different situation. Anyway, in my line of work, playing the game would mean ensuring the music is played by DJs on the radio and featured in TV shows, etc. As these things feed the algorithm and tell it that the music is popular. In response, the content begins to rise above the shadow banning, resulting in more organic engagement. So what you need to do is play the game in your field. I'll explain more in another comment once I get some more strength, as I'm melting here. It's 110 degrees. Cheers. Ooh, Gary, I hope it gets... Mexico, I know, can get very hot. I hope it gets cooler soon. But like I said, this is... I'm happy to discuss this with you if you have any ideas. However, I think the shadow banning, we're talking about a different kind of shadow banning here. As I've explained, it's really done deliberately to silence certain people, not just to provide. It's not put out there as a challenge for someone to overcome to prove they're worthy of more visibility. Do you see what I mean? 78 Gary says here, what was that Willy bloke talking about a mellotron? A mellotron is an old keyboard from the 1950s that used tape to replay the sounds. Willie says, that's exactly what I said. Ben thought it was a code name for a UFO crash. I think he got confused because Ben has been taking piano lessons from his mad neighbour. Okay. The only piano lessons I've been taking from him is just like putting my fingers in my ears and hoping he shuts up soon. But yeah, okay, that's what it means. Fair enough. I don't actually remember talking about that, but there you go. Gary says, alright, I get it. Cheers. Willie says, if anybody were to stop and listen to the elevator bossa nova with its perfect combination of piano, maracas and mellotron, the world would be a much better place. Alright, is that kind of like Muzak, the kind of lift music pieces? Yeah. The elevator bossa nova. Alright, you go into a lift and goes dum da dum da da, that sort of thing. Shill Squad 3 Tribunal is another old one here. What fresh hell is this? It's an old video. So this channel is a recruitment hub for shills. This is the destruction I was talking about, Ben. They were everywhere. If you watch the video, Will, you'll see it's actually not. It's just a way of dealing with things in a sensible, civilized manner. Gary says here on 78. Ben, mate, in regards to the guy who was talking about the Luton UFO sighting in the 80s that left a burn mark in the field, I remember hearing something about that when I was a kid in the 80s in Hemel Hempstead. I tried to look it up, Gary. I couldn't find anything. If you can find any more details, let me know. At the time, people were claiming something happened in the fields in Grove Hill, which marked one of the... where the boundaries as the town of Hemel Hempstead ends and the countryside starts, which leads to the M1, and on the other side of that, not far away, is Luton Airport. It was around that time that ET was released and people were flocking to the field to look for marks on the ground. I'm guessing someone happened somewhere and hysteria got people worked up and the information in regards to where it happened was lost of the chaos. Could be Gary. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing. But if you can find if you can find out more information about this, that'd be very interesting. I mean, I don't actually. Never heard this until you mentioned it, and I did some quick googling and couldn't find anything. Willie says here on Alaska UFO livestream, Ben, you got your wires crossed. Maggie Goldenberger is the Amag girl who became a meme in the 1990s. She was never a UFO researcher. Maggie Goldenberger, who the hell's that? I don't even remember. I don't even know what you're talking about, Willie. Reply to comments 23. Oh, this is an old one. Something strange is happening to your videos. All the responses below are completely different to how they were half an hour ago, with different profiles. Anyway, the LA UFO crash in a garden is complete tosh. Yeah, I know that. Aliens wouldn't deliberately crash their spaceship just to sell bitcoins to humans. Probably not, no. It's doubtful that advanced aliens would even have a monetary system. They wouldn't need it. Oh, God, it's like this. You're starting to sound like Jay Posadas now. Did you see my video on Jay Posadas and the alien communists? It's quite funny. I thought it was quite funny. Nothing as it seems says on reply to comment 78. The Sanguine Porter. That's me, nothing. 78. Gin Skim Pivot says here. Alright. I seem to have touched a nerve, so I apologise, Ben. That's all right, Gin. You didn't touch any nerves, don't worry. These issues are debating points and entirely worthless beyond that. Look, I'm not bothered. I'm quite happy to debate points with you. It's just I sometimes feel I'm saying one thing and you're hearing another. They change a little, so try not to get so upset. A couple of things, Ben. I've never said that you debate all manner of material. Your little rant thus I delete all manner of material. Your little rant thus misrepresents me. No, Jin, there was a hyperbole. I said, talking to you, I said sarcastically, why don't you go the whole hog and just accuse me of deleting everything skeptics say? Why don't you just tell everyone I never allow skeptics on my channel? It was a satire of your misrepresentation of me. He says, yes, I said you champion free speech while being quite willing to censor it when it suits. No, I don't. No, I don't. I've never asked you to be spoon-fed material from Brotherhood of the Bell or any related works on alleged anti-gravity claims. All right, Brotherhood of the Bell is something different. That's a good film, actually, about secret societies. It's a 70s B movie. But it's not called Brotherhood of the Bell. It's called something else. It's by Joseph Farrell, and there's one by... Okay, you've never asked me to spoon-feed you. Okay, well, seeing as I've given you references to things where you can find out more, and then you kind of come back to me saying, no, Ben, I want you to sit here for an hour and explain it to me yourself, which I don't have time to do. All I was looking for was some logic as to how the US government acquired Nazi anti-gravity tech for moon landings in the 40s, but didn't actually need it in the 1960s when gravity has never been cited as a reason to fate Apollo. I have explained, Jin, why that was. I've explained how. I've given you a brief overview of how the US government acquired technology from Germany, as did the Soviet Union, and to a lesser extent Great Britain. I've explained how the Nazis plundered and ravaged Germany following its defeat in World War II. I've described how the rocket program was set up as a public-facing parallel to the secret space program, in which rockets were used, which is why they used it for the alleged moon landings, all right, for the Project Apollo. I have explained that to you. Just for clarity, Ben, are you saying that man went to the moon in the 40s because they had anti-gravity technology, but likely didn't go in the 60s and 70s because of radiation and communication issues, which that anti-gravity tech somehow overcame 25 years before? Okay, just for clarity, no, I'm not suggesting that no one went to the moon in the 60s and 70s. I'm sure people have been going to the moon probably since the 1930s. All right. What I said was that the public claim of NASA was that using that technology, that is the publicly facing technology of rockets and things, they made the claim that they went to the moon in the 60s and 70s. They made that claim, and that is what I doubt, to do with radiation, communications, etc. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how I could explain it any clearer to you, Jen. Euro Council Brexit meeting. Right, Willie says, I thought it was all done and dusted. Wonders never cease. Check the date on the video, Willie. It's an old one. Things have moved on since then. Ginskin Pivot says on 78. Quote, rhetoric and no argument, unquote. What is it I have no argument on, Ben? It isn't me throwing tantrums, ignoring posts because he doesn't want to reply. The post I made of film working... Oh, dear, hang on a sec. Alright, Jen, I'm sorry, I can't... I've reached the point now. You say at the end, I like you, Ben, but you're an unconsciously biased hypocrite. Jin, we've reached a point where I can't keep having these conversations with you. You need to please start addressing the points I make when I'm talking about you, okay? Rather than just it feels like you're just not addressing my points and just continuing addressing some kind of a person who's actually a figment of your imagination. He looks like me, he has the same name, but he says very different things to me. And he doesn't reply to you when I do, and things like that. So I'm afraid I'm not going to read the rest of this post here. All right. And then I put on my comment. I put on my community notice about UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview being blocked in all territories. Later it was unblocked, I'm pleased to say. Reply to comment 78 says here. Willie says, Ben, your argument about Grush is only half considered. You argue that he wouldn't want to lose friends and credibility in his private life with the UFO story. Equally, he could have already lost friends, respect and credibility in his private life, so he has so little to lose. Fine, Willie, you go ahead and speculate just like I am. The problem is that a lot of skeptics are saying, essentially their speculation is fact. This is essentially what Mick West has said. Stephen Greenstreet, Stephen Cambion, people like that. And David Smith, he's changed his names. David Smith, Oiforov. It doesn't even need to be that. The point I was making was that people will do things even if it harms them because at the time they believe it to be a good or great idea. They might do, yes. I mean, I know many people who make terrible mistakes that way. But you've got to ask the question why someone like Grush would do that. Consider that at least 50% of all new business startups will fail within the first 3 years. Yet people still love to start their own businesses, pouring all that time, effort and money into trying to make it work. They would do, though, except if their business is something that is really... that doesn't really have a very good business plan to begin with. That doesn't make sense. Now, the problem is, you see, that... you must realise that skeptics... for a long time before David Grush came along, have said things like, well, how come no one on the inside who's qualified and has a career in defence and whose identity can be certified, how come none of them have come forward? How come it's always Bob Lazar? How come it's always David Collier? What's his name? David Adair and people like that. Why is it always these people who just come forward with enormous claims and no evidence, all right? If somebody with proper documented evidence and then like a proper CV came forward, well, I'd be more inclined to believe them. But they don't come forward, so that's too bad. So the point, I mean, this is one situation where I think why is it now the skeptics are now shifting the goalpost or moving or raising the bar or whatever sporting analogy you prefer. So it seems to be, I think skeptics are doing this, and it sounds like when people say, well, he's obviously it must be coming from inside his imagination, and this is why he's making it up. Maybe he wants to cash in on the UFO dollar. This is a guy who obviously he's quite young. He has some great career opportunities ahead of him. It seems strange of all the people he would come forward and start talking aliens when it wasn't true. The same could be said for anyone doing anything, says David. It's perfectly possible to start off thinking it was a good idea and slowly wishing you'd never gone ahead with it, but steaming on in the hope that something good becomes of it. Again, if that's the truth, if that's the case, then that will come out, David. I think it's unlikely. What you suggest is possible, but I think it's unlikely. But if it comes out, then we will find out, won't we? But at the moment, there's no reason to think that Grush is anyone other than he said he was. I remember, it's now almost a month since Grush did his big reveal, and people were saying at the time, oh, this will be forgotten in 2 weeks. Well, it hasn't been forgotten. Hasn't been at all. There's now going to be congressional hearings. So I think we should wait and see, David. But I personally don't think there's a reason, although it's possible that what you're saying is true, I don't think it's likely. The same with what Willie says here. He could have already lost friends, respect, credibility, so he has little to lose. Well, he would, if that's true, Willie, and I'd say this to David Smith as well. He essentially has to be willing to. He's essentially on a course of social and professional suicide. It's possible people would do that. I know that's true. If it comes out that that's what he's doing, we'll soon find out. But I think it's unlikely. He doesn't fit the profile. Willie says, on Extinction Rebellion Oxford, another old one. Illogical. If everyone is extinct, there can be no rebellion. You better tell them that, yeah. And we have here on St. Theo 2023, Willie says, well, that's very interesting what you said about Jordan's Guidestones being Georgia. I think you mean the Georgia Guidestones. Being an act of vandalism by a tinfoil person with a bazooka. I think not. Those pieces of concrete were insured for a pretty penny, you know. Right, firstly, it's the Georgia Guidestones. They didn't have a bazooka. There was no projectile involved. It appears to be some kind of explosive charge which was attached physically to the monument. They're not made of concrete. They're made of solid granite, and they are insured. And in fact, unfortunately, the Elberton Granite Company has already offered to replace them free of charge on the exact same design plan as the original. So I hope that doesn't happen. If it does, well, community guidelines. But we'll see how it goes. Right, Willie. What dreams may come? Watch party live stream. Willie. I'm getting a little tired of jam noise and others telling people I'm Charles Scott. From what I'm seeing, that guy is an obsessed loon who has a bug up his butt. Alright, well, if you think otherwise, you could tell people politely that they're wrong. And if you're tired of it, well, if that bothers you, Willie, you can always block people, you know. Charles says here, alright, Charles is replying here, and then Willie replies. Willie replies again. Blah de blah. Oh, right. I'm not reading out this thread. It's just this is Charles and Willie having another head-to-head. This goes on quite a long time. This thread. I'm not. I see someone mentions Charles Unleashed from Project Camelot. Willie says here, there's no such person as Charles Unleashed or Charles from Project Camelot. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. I've even seen him. I've actually been on a live stream with him. It's on Terry Joyce's channel. I was on a live stream with him. Now he's actually deleted his profile. He's left social media for the time being, but he does exist. I have spoken to him. I've met him. Well, not face to face, but I've met him under his own identity. Angel of the Outer Limits. This is Ms. Balloons. All right, is this Balloons' wife? I really enjoyed doing this video. It's a very amazing experience I had, and I really loved this. Making this video about it. Look at Zechariah 5:9. You find some lovely winged women in King James. I like your video. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Balloons. I don't know if you're the same Balloons. Let's have a look. I don't know my Bible that well, but it was Zechariah 5:9. Okay. 5:9. Let's have a look. Let's wait for it to load. The Flying Scroll locked again. King James version. Here we go. BibleGateway.com. I'll show it to you anyway. Display. There we go. Is the display? Oh no, there we are. It is working. There we go. Then lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came out 2 women, and the wind was in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the ephah between the earth and the heaven. All right, that's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people, I thought, you know, someone once told me there were no references to angels with wings in the Bible. Well, obviously, if those are meant to be wings, then yeah, that's wings, yes. But I know the angels, for example, in their most famous passages, for example, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, for example, there's no description of them. You assume they're humanoid because they can walk through the streets of the city without being noticed to rescue Lot and his wife before God smites them with fire and brimstone. But yeah, it's reports of angels eating, things like that. Yeah, but anyway, thanks, Mrs. Balloons, much appreciated. This is Grush 10 days on, Steve mumbling. Looks like the Titanic mini-sub-story has kicked Grush's science fiction UFO story into touch. No, it hasn't actually, Steve. Now, the Titanic submarine thing was very sad. The implosion of the Titan submarine with 5 people on board. Now, you must realise the Grush story was never really a major headline piece to begin with. It may become that. I mean, as Ross Coulthard has just said, you know, the Woodward and Bernstein exclusive about the break-in at the Watergate Hotel, which of course led to the downfall of President R.M. Nixon, that didn't hit the headlines until a couple of months after it was first published. So Grush, again, the Grush story might gain that kind of pace. The Titanic, the submarine story knocked everything off the headlines, unfortunately. But, you know, really, it's a fait accompli because this was not really on the headlines at all, apart from that stupid thing in the Daily Star, which I talked about. Oh, here's an old one, the Aldeburgh platform. Oh, actually, this I loved. This is an outing I went to with East Anglia UFO Group. Very interesting case, says Master KQ3NW. Someone said it was German soldiers. I don't believe. No sound on that platform. Maybe aliens come from a spaceship who was around orbit and just visit and go. We are not alone in space. Yeah, no, it wasn't Germans. I mean, someone suggested it was a observation platform from a Zeppelin. That is one of the giant airships that were used for air raids in World War One. But again, the observation platforms don't look like that, and they don't descend to that level. A Master KQ3NW says on the same video, is that the address when the woman who saw the platform? And it is, yes, we were outside her house. However, I did actually put a text comment here just as a disclaimer. Yes, but please do not approach the property on this matter. This incident happened well over 100 years ago, and none of the witnesses or their descendants live there now. And Master says, yes, of course. But it's a strange incident. I believe it was aliens, not German soldiers. And I said the same here. So yeah, absolutely, it's not the Zeppelins and Germans explanation doesn't fit at all. What dreams may come? Watch party live stream. Willie says here. Howdy Ben, your channel came by recommendation as a fun place to kick back and talk about science fiction. Oh right, well that's good, Willie. I mean, I'm not completely shadow bound then. You seem like a decent enough fellow yourself, but I've been constantly attacked by your viewers just for showing up, specifically JamNoise72, Crafty Nihilist, Lightswillow and Charles Scott. You seem to have a serious troll problem. Short and sweet, but I think it's time to hit the unsubscribe button. All the best. Well, suit yourself, Willie. I mean, I'm not... I don't think I've done... I don't think you got any reason to quit for that reason. If you don't like certain people, you can block them and still watch my channel and still sub. If you want to unsubscribe and not watch, again, that's your choice. I'm not going to try and talk you out of it. But I don't believe... I think any troll problem I think I deal with correctly. You're not the only one who would say I don't, but I think I do. Crafty says, looks like we were right. What name will you choose next? Well, if it turns out he is... Well, I've had no reason so far to think that Willie is somebody else. But it is at the back of my mind, the fact that he just joined, has a new channel, things like that. Willie says to Crafty Nihilist, you are Charles Scott, aren't you? I'm unsubscribed from Ben, so now be happy. Alright, well, bye-bye, Willie. All the best. What dreams may come? Live stream, Tessa1111. We found out that in less than 5 minutes of any media, they can't sue. Okay. 45 minutes. It's considered free advertising. What's this? Alright. It's a timestamp, 4:59. I couldn't believe it when I want to check my channel, you bugger. Channel check. There we go. And when I checked it, I found it was back, and I was like, what? Blimey. Oh, yeah. I thought sounds too good to be true. But oh yes, that's the appeal I made against my copyright strike. Yes. Tessa says underneath, love the Vincent Price version of I Am Legend. Truly loathe the Will Smith version. Sorry. All right, I never saw that. There's about 4 different versions of that film. It's an original book about by Matheson. There was the original I Am Legend. There was a Mega Man, and then there was the I Am Legend with Will Smith. I think I quite enjoyed the Will Smith version, but I never actually had seen the others, so it could be if I saw the others I wouldn't like them so much, Tessa. Gary Robinson says on the Hollingwell Instant Update, evening Ben, mate, pride and dignity for all. Evening to you, Gary. This is a new video here. 61 Shirley, hey, Dan Bostock. It's Daniel Bostock here on the Hollingwell Instant Update. Wow, we were there. Hope you're well, mate. I wouldn't rule out a Black Ops experiment of sorts. Hey, oh right, Dan. Thanks, mate. It's good to see you. Now, Daniel Bostock actually has his own channel where there's a lot of comedy and music and things like that. It's well worth seeing. So check out his channel, 61 Shirley. Also, he appears in the background video to this one. So check that out. Crafty says, we thought that, Shirley. He's called Dan. I know he doesn't say so in his comment or in his channel, but he's actually called Dan Bostock. Yeah. The Hollingwell Instant Update. David Splendid Isolation says here. It's a YouTube thing here. What's this here? It's 5-star. All fall down. All right.
All fall down, all fall down, all fall down.
Right. Oh. All right, David. Thanks very much. I remember the. I actually remember this. I remember the band 5-star from the 80s. I don't remember this. I don't remember this song. So thank you very much. The Hollingwell, because All Fall Down is one of the nicknames for this particular incident. Same video, Jack Parker 8686 says, similar account, could be COVID-19 reason that this virus thing seems to be piggybacking off ordinary system anomalies. Right. Only had correlating presence when looked for in the system. Some people rarely seem to go into hospital. And some people hypersensitive to treatment, finding out their reactionary system by chance, visible in system by chance, snowballing into critical stage of ellipsis. Right, I don't quite understand, Jack. You as incoherent as always. I don't know, so I'll try and interpret what you said as best as I can. It doesn't appear to be any kind of virus. It didn't spread around. Anything that virulent, it would cause hundreds of people to collapse on a single day. Would help. That's the end of an hour. Would have an effect on the entire environment around it. Indeed, such a thing would probably spread all over the world, and it didn't. So I don't know. And as for the rest of it here, some people go into hospital. Some people are hypersensitive to treatment, finding out their reactionary system by chance visible. I don't know what you mean, Jack. Sorry. Okay, he's got a bit more here anyway. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll take a little break and be back with part 2 coming up. Okay, guys, back with hour number 2. Oh, I'm a bit low. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Yeah. So where were we? Yeah, Jack Parker is is carrying on with this, snowballing into whatever critical stage of malady. Again, I'm afraid I don't quite understand what you're saying, and it. Jack says a horrible voodoo witchcraft syndrome. I doubt it. You see, I'm quite open to the skeptic interpretation of this. Actually, I must admit, it does appear to make sense to me. So Jack Parker says, are hiccups anything like puking? One person starts. Well, see, yeah, these things can sometimes spread. I mean, for example. Well, when someone yawns, very often other people will do it, and people say yawning is contagious, things like that. Vomiting, some people vomit out of disgust when other people do it because of the sight and smell of it. If they're not hospital porters who are used to things like that, it can sometimes make them it can cause nausea in them to the point where they will throw up too. This seems to be the examples that Kieran and myself gave. Sorry, Christian. That Christian and myself gave are different. I think there's more. Is there? Excuse me. Let's just get this camera angle right. There we go. That's about right, isn't it? The examples we gave are different. The examples, I think, are more. There's something else going on than just normal psychological responses. Although Christian, I think, he believes that more than I do, possibly. But because there are other examples from other places, this is the thing. Jack says on Hollingwell, one sure way to make people puke, all of them. Tell them there's a man missing, but his shoes were found at a hamburger grinding plant in the machine where they got their fresh hamburger. Oh, I'm sure, Jack, you must have seen my Soylent Green review. It's people! Soylent Green is people! Jack says up. Then the man shows up eating a hamburger, saying, "Anybody seen my shoes?" Yeah, God knows what they put in those hamburgers, my goodness me. Jack says then on Hollingwell, missing man says, outdid myself this time. This is a really good hamburger. I mixed just the right blend. The blend of what? Jack, his special blend for the hamburger. Reason one of the kids says, hey, this is different. Before they found his shoes in the grinder. Jack, I don't eat burgers like at burger bars. However, if I wasn't already put off by it, I think this conversation would put me off. Jack says, one of the kids by chance lost a tooth while he was eating a hamburger and exclaimed, hey, there are bones in this. Have you ever seen Severance, by the way, Jack, and anyone else? It's actually a black comedy. And it's actually quite, in some ways, it's very violent and horrific, but it's just so funny. It's just so hilariously funny. It's unbelievable. Hollingwell, Jack Parker. God bless them, certainly not a joking matter, but we have to look rigorously at scientific data possibilities. Yes, indeed. Jack says, fear of poisoning is tremendous and certain individuals would be gagging themselves. Of course, that's always a concern, especially with children. Jack puts all these in different comments, which is okay. You can do that if you want. Jack says here on Hollingwell, more rigorous research would dogs puke if people were somehow given something to make themselves puke if seeing a dog would have psychomatic reaction? Well, I hope they got their research worth anyway. Probably not, I would say, in that situation. Dogs don't often throw up, actually. If they throw up, it's usually because of nerves, because they're quite good at testing not eating things that aren't suitable for their stomachs, because their sense of smell is much, much better than ours. They often throw up if they're nervous. Little puppies and things often do that. But, I hope they got their research worth. Well, it's still unsolved, Jack, after all these years. A time could come when we will have an answer, but I mean, this is what Christian's trying to do. Hugo Rune says on Hollingwell, from 109.55 onwards. All right, what's this? All right, let's have a look. If you go to lists of mass hysteria events, there is loads of them. There's accounts of the Middle Ages. Some of these are caused by some kind of toxin. I mean, if you're familiar with the work of Graham Hancock and people who investigate entheogenic drugs, I mean, Terence McKenna, Niall Murphy talks about this. There are incidents in various places all through history where people have suddenly come down with... All right, okay, I get your point. Sorry, cannabis does not have a mass effect that instantly transfers to others. Okay, if I mention cannabis, I don't remember mentioning cannabis in that particular video. If I did, then I apologise, and I got that wrong. I know I've taken it twice myself, Hugo. I don't toke it back like you do, but I have tried it twice. I have, but there are other drugs which do. There are other drugs that do have that effect on people, and I mentioned some examples there with various hysterias, and so in the Middle Ages there were devil possessions and things that may be the effect of psychoactive substances, like I mentioned, ergotine, which is the natural source of LSD, and it's possible that this was used accidentally in the brew that people who went to see the Greeks who went to see the oracles experience. Yeah. Sorry, 30 years I have used cannabis. My cannabis affects me only. Makes me happy. Suppresses my spasms in my right leg. I get Sativex prescribed, but it does not transfer to anyone else. I know you do, and it's good for you. I'm glad you do. I know you, because of your medical problems, this actually relieves it, as it did my mother, who had multiple sclerosis. The damage caused to her nervous system resulted in terrible pain, and again she had spasms as well, and her own use of smoking cannabis helped her. Don't waste your time trying to blame my medication. Thanks. All right. Well, I wasn't aware that I did that, Hugo. I wasn't aware that I did that. If I did, then obviously I got that wrong, and I'm sorry. But I think I actually mentioned other substances, not cannabis. Gary says on Hollingwell, Ben, do you listen to Riss Flex here on YouTube? I'm watching her live right now, and she's commenting on a video she's playing where a guy from the US is... What the hell's going on up there? It sounds like Alan's moving his furniture around. Okay. A guy from the US is talking about faster-than-light communications technology that allows for tracking of UAPs. He's talking about a whole bunch of other mad stuff as well. He's saying that... Excuse me. Technology is based in Antarctica, and from what I can tell, he's claiming to be a technician who has worked on this secret technology. Cheers. Riss Flex. I mean, it rings a bell. Let's have a look. Riss Flex. Riss Flex. Let's have a look. Oh, right. I think I've seen her. Yeah. This is her. Yeah, all right, yes. Oh, yeah, I've seen... All right, I should sub to her, actually, because I've seen a couple of these videos. They're quite interesting. Oh, secret subway door goes viral. Insight. Right you are, mate. Right. Looks interesting. Thanks very much. Okay, I'll check that out, thanks, Gary. Let's have a look. As for the technology being based in Antarctica, well, Antarctica is a good place to put secret stuff. That's why Hitler went there after the war. Yes, he did get away from Berlin. And as for the technology of tracking UAP being based there, it's possible. I mean, there's what I know from... I've spoken to a guy who was in Antarctica, and he said things are very restricted there. You know, there's a big military presence. You need special permission to visit certain areas. The harsh environment, as the climate and conditions also restrict people's movements very much indeed. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, Steve Mumbling says, right, this is Grush 10 days on. Steve Mumbling has a link, which is probably one of his own videos. What's this?
A newly released
Oh no, it's
Pentagon
not.
document offers a peek behind
It's Green Street. Oh, right, I've not seen this. This is the latest. Is this the latest from the basement office? Right. Okay, it's a 9-minute video.
at how military officials reacted to a former employee going public about UFOs. In December 2017...
All right, look, Steve, I'll have to watch this later, but I'll leave... That looks interesting. Thank you very much. I'll leave that open. So much appreciated. I will check that out. Green Street, I think, gets a lot of things wrong. And, well, I'll let you know what I think about it later. Yeah, I might even have time. I'll tell you what, depending on how long this takes, I might do like a live watch of it on this particular video, which might help. Okay, right. David Smith, okay. The problem with your old lady being mugged analogy. Okay, that a lady being mugged is not an extraordinary claim. Okay, I have corrected I've corrected my metaphor slightly, because David, I think the analogy works correctly for things like 9/11 and for 7/7, where people were really harmed. But it was not the best analogy, I think, for this particular situation that we're talking about, the Manchester event. Being a lady being mugged isn't an extraordinary claim. No, but it is because it is. It's not extraordinary, but it is quite rare, despite what you read in the papers. To the point where she gets killed like that way is actually quite rare. So if it happens, it's an extraordinary claim. It's a claim that requires a certain amount of evidence if you're going to make it. You can't just say, I saw a lady being mugged and killed. You have to provide, there has to be a dead body, there has to be a forensic investigation, the police has to investigate, there has to be a coroner's inquest, things like that. In the same way, incidents that involve mass casualties, unfortunately, isn't uncommon. Well, it is actually. The kind of events we're talking about here are actually extremely rare. I mean, people fear being caught in terrorist incidents. However, when it comes to death by terrorism, it's actually one of the rarest causes of death there are. I think you are slightly less likely to be killed in a lightning strike, but only slightly. You're more likely to be killed by a bee stinging you or a wasp. You're 5 times more likely to drown while you're taking a bath. Things like that. So incidents involving mass casualties, certainly involving terrorism, are very rare indeed. But he says, but incidents like that being faked are quite rare. Well, that's a matter of opinion, David, because you believe these things are never faked, and I believe some of them are. So how rare they are compared to ones which are not, because I don't believe all things are faked. I don't believe everything. So there's some people who believe 9/11 was faked. There are people who believe that there were no Twin Towers to begin with at all, and they just didn't exist, and they were made up. Despite the fact that millions of New Yorkers saw them every day, some people claim, oh no, Twin Towers never existed. It's ridiculous, some of the things people say. But I obviously don't believe that all terrorist incidents are faked. I believe some of them are, and you believe none of them are. So again, we are going to have to quibble over exactly what the proportions are before we say something is a common or uncommon. David continues. On the other hand, you seem to say the mainstream often lies without actually demonstrating the specific details they mention are lies. No, I do mention the specific details where I say they lie. I mention that I do. David, I think whenever I bring this subject up, I explain why I think as I do. I'm sure I do. Without actually... Right. While accepting claims that really amount to conjecture or supposition. Right. You say, I disbelieve the mainstream media while accepting claims that amount to conjecture or supposition. This is a very common criticism skeptics make of the conspirasphere. And I think it's unfair in my particular case. I do, if someone makes a claim, I like to see evidence for it. So, for example, I don't accept that the Twin Towers just turned to dust, because people observe it. They see it on the news. They see what appears to be 2 buildings, some of the largest buildings in the world, actually, turning into a cloud of dust. Now, that's conjecture and supposition. It's what you see. I know skeptics, and indeed the NIST report says that's not what happened. They actually collapsed and disintegrated as a result of the impact of the aircraft and fire caused by the fuel and by fuel from the furniture in the building. It's only when, for example, you read Dr. Judy Wood's Where Did the Towers Go? That you see a scientific study on that particular event, which explains, it gives a scientific piece of evidence about why it happened. So there you go, and that's so. I don't think I accept claims just on conjecture or supposition. I am looking for actual evidence, in my view. David continues. I'm all for scrutiny on these events, but when the good evidence is ignored because it doesn't provide answers to every minute detail, then it may be just a limitation of that case. Well, good evidence is ignored because it doesn't provide answers to every minute detail. The problem is this is what was it that Brian Welch used to say? Oh, it's nitpicky claptrap, talking about whenever people question the moon landings, he said, oh, it's nitpicky claptrap. We can't expect us to know the answers to these things. Well, in this case, we're talking about a camera angles and things like that, which are, it's not just nitpicky. It's not just, oh, well, you can't expect us to answer that every single little tiny detail. This is not a minute little tiny detail. This is a very, very significant criticism involving something very fundamental, which is the laws of physics, the light rays, and the claims made by the astronauts and by NASA. It may be a limitation of that case, and dismissing it, I think, is a mistake in critical thinking and rationality. Well, I mean, I don't dismiss what people say when it's. I mean, I don't dismiss what Christian Lander said about the Hollingwell incident, do I? And I don't think it's a mistake in critical thinking and rationality to ignore good evidence because it doesn't provide every minute detail. Again, I think that is an exaggeration of the situation. I don't think that's actually a fair representation of the situation, David, for the reasons I've explained. It's not a mistake in critical thinking and rationality to see a photograph taken from supposedly from 3 feet above the lunar surface that actually looks like it's 6 feet above the lunar surface, and you can actually measure it. Right, where are we? Switch to the dragon juice. It seems to back up the wider criticism about believers in the paranormal and conspiracies that they simply don't like the answer of "I don't know." I don't have a problem with that. I know we sometimes don't know. So I don't. In fact, I don't know many believers, as you call us, who object to that per se. I can't think of any specifically, unless you could be more specific about what you mean and who you're talking about. I can understand that I hate not knowing, but it's just one of those bitter pills of reality we have to swallow. Yeah, I suppose so. And I don't have a problem swallowing it. David says, when you mention about people being upset about conspiracy theorists pushing their agenda about hoax events, I do somewhat agree that the average person shouldn't be that bothered ultimately. Right, but I think it's bad taste, but I don't get outraged by it. Now, if family or friends of victims get outraged, that I can understand. I could understand them getting outraged if, for example, I suppose it was to go back to the old lady analogy. If my grandmother got mugged and killed, and people were coming up to me saying, and I knew what happened to her, and people coming up to me and saying she died of a heart attack, mate, no one hurt her, that would outrage me. Yes, it would. It would outrage me completely. This is why I find it hard to understand when you do the opposite of that, and you tell the truth about what happened to her. That actually outrages them more. And that I find hard to understand. I don't know why a person would get so angry because you are telling the truth about what happened to their loved one. I think the only reason they get angry about it because they believe that the lie, that is, oh, she dropped dead of a heart attack, mate. There was no one with baseball bats, honestly. Because that's mainstream, and everyone tells you that's common sense. They somehow have taken it upon themselves to believe that is true. Whereas the people who say otherwise, I'm afraid the people who say otherwise are actually, we're just trying to help. We're trying to bring the killers to justice. David said, I mean, if we made videos and spread lies on websites about how you abused and murdered a family member and are covering it up or pretending it never happened, I'd assume you'd be a little bothered at least. Yes, indeed. If you made an outright accusation against me and it wasn't true, I would certainly want to put my side. I'd certainly want to put my side of the story across and say it is true, and this is my evidence countering. This is my evidence that explains it. Yeah, I would. I seem to remember Steve mentioned something about a deceased relative's friend a while back, and you got pretty upset with that. To me, it's similar. So people who want these things to stop or just be very careful about what accusations and claims they make seem reasonable. Yeah, well, you see, I'd want them to be reasonable. Yeah, if people believe that I am, for example, it says, if we made videos that spread ideas on websites about how you abused and murdered a family member and are covering it up and pretending it never happened, I assume you'd be a little bothered to say the least. Well, firstly, I'd want you to present it as I'd want you not commenting on me as a person, but actually explaining why you think that way. Because if you have, you can plead fair comment. You see what I mean? I would want, if I sued you, you could simply say to the judge, well, it's fair comment, because I've evidence that you did this. In which case, I'd be in a position where I'd have to defend myself in court and explain why that's not the case. So, yeah, I think that gathers it. Anyway, it's interesting comments there, David. David continues here on 78. You mentioned in a prior comments video on a prior comments reply video about some ex-skeptic who tested a medium in his home. For what I recall, you mentioned he let her go behind a curtain and turned the lights off. Hardly scientific. That's actually, oh right, that is Harry Price, I think you mean. But he wasn't. He went behind the curtain and turned the lights off. Well, it was a laboratory. No. If what you're talking about, if we're talking about the same thing, it was a laboratory experiment. Okay. Why can't these people? Oh right, I think you're. All right, I'm trying to think. Do you mean Victor and Wendy Zammit? If I knew exactly what you were talking about, and I don't, we're both talking about something you remember in the past, and I'm trying to think as well. If you say, I'll switch the lights off here and you go behind that curtain, yeah, that's not very scientific. However, if it's under laboratory conditions, it is scientific. And this is an ex-skeptic, which means obviously... Now, you know how rare it is that skeptics change their mind about things. Although some do. Sherman might, yeah. Why can't these people with these abilities show them in settings where actual good evidence can be collected? Because, well, they do, David, you see. They do. Why is it the more ways we have of detecting foul play, F-W-L, foul play, that's because little birds come in and do it for them. Yeah, little birdies fly in and go, tweet, tweet, tweet. So I'm taking the mickey out of you for a spelling mistake, David. So, that we have ways of detecting foul play, the less these stories seem to surface. Well, because this is important. But why is it the more ways we have of detecting foul play, the less of these stories seem to surface? Because there are attempts to fake events like this. Fakery does exist, and we have ways indeed of. We do indeed have ways of uncovering those fakes. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't like fakes. You know, I mean, it's ironic, but some of them actually, based on your spelling mistake, but some of the methodology actually does involve, for example, hiding birds, little birdies in your sleeves and letting them go and fly around and things like that. It's because magicians do that. I mean, you see, a stage magician essentially is a fake paranormal presenter, but the thing is. The magician is saying, yes, this is fake, it's an illusion. And I mean, I'm doing it to entertain you. As you can see me doing these things and go, wow, how does he do that? Which is why I love magicians. I love watching magicians on stage. But yeah, the reason is because we do uncover the fakes. But I think the difference between the skeptic and the believer is the skeptic says, well, that's all. That accounts for the entire phenomenon. We have ways of detecting foul play. Therefore, we can. Therefore, that's all there is to it. Others say no, that doesn't account for everything. You look at the various areas of psychical research. It's very interesting. David says a self-proclaimed skeptic being convinced isn't good evidence. No, not in itself, but I mean it's. I think skeptics changing their minds is just. It's not evidence when a skeptic changes their minds. It's just very amusing. Because it's so rare. Like I keep saying, the evidence, if it's good, is what's needed. Well, I agree, yeah. It sounds like you're confused about skepticism. Sometimes you describe it accurately, sometimes you define it in the pseudo sense. It's like you're using the two definitions interchangeably. Expressing doubts about claims is as simple as it can get. I'd argue even you do that sometimes. Yeah. Yes, in that case, I think we are arguing over terminology here, David. Expressing doubts about claims is absolutely fine. I think I make this clear in my skeptic talk. I give the two definitions, don't I? I give the definition of what skeptics say they are, which is what I think is fair enough, and what they actually are in reality. And there's a comment coming up, actually, which illustrates that perfectly. I know, because I've already seen it. I'm looking forward to replying to that. It's a little just above yours, actually. When I mentioned the gold box scam, you don't explain how it is you can dismiss that using skepticism and rationality. Yet other claims about the paranormal aliens, you don't. I do, David. I think I did explain that. I dismissed the gold box scam because it's a well-known ruse, and I'm cynical. I'm genuinely cynical of people like that anyway, and they provide no evidence that this gold does exist. They say it's somewhere in a vault in Lagos, but they don't say exactly where. But for £100 they can let you know, and I would say, well, why don't you just show me where it is first before and give me the proof that it exists before I send you the £100 shipping fee or transfer fee. Believe it or not, David, someone came to me a couple of years ago with what they said was a part of a flying saucer that they found in a crop circle, and they showed it to me, and it looked very much to me like a spill from a forge or foundry, like just a big piece of glistening metallic scrap, basically, that might have spilled out of a furnace at a forge. And they wanted £70 for this, and I said, no. He said, no, I'm not going to. They said I said, well, let's test it. I was open-minded enough. I said, if it comes from a flying saucer and it has an extraterrestrial origin, we will know. So let's test it. And he said, no, I want £70 before. I won't test it unless you buy it off me. And then I want £70 for it. And I said, no, I'm not. Okay, but claims about the paranormal aliens, you don't. Okay, so you compare. This is interesting. You compare real, solid extraterrestrial cases, really important extraterrestrial claims about UFOs, about the Bigfoot footprints and things like that, about ghosts where they're caught on camera. Right? You compare that to the gold box scam? Well, no, because the gold box scam obviously doesn't have anything going for it. But these other example you give, which you seem to think that is pretty much the same, paranormal aliens, you see that as the same, but it's not. The paranormal aliens thing often comes with very strong evidence. It's really not rhetoric. No, that's not rhetoric, what you just said, David. No. I'm trying to show you the double standard you're using for these beliefs you hold. David, I don't think I'm holding a double standard here. I don't understand why you think I am. We know gold exists. We know whatever country they claim to be in is real. We know that the person writing the emails is real and contactable. Yes. They even send pictures. And I bet they could get a few others to say they went through with it and got their gold. Of course, you always get the shills, don't you? You get what's the word? It's a hustle, isn't it? This is why you get the people playing the shell game with the cups, the 3 cups and the little peanut going like that, right? And someone will come along and put money in. And then they'll win. Obviously, they're collaborating with the person doing the scam. Say, "Oh, and they'll spot the right thing." That just draws people in. It's just the hustle. It draws people in. So, and then you spring them and don't give them the money. Yeah. But that's different. The difference is, firstly, that's a very well-known scam. So it's something that I have the experience of other people being fooled by it. So I know that. I also know that if I email this person and ask them for proof of this vault in Lagos, they will not send it to me. I know the standard of proof to know that this is real. I know the standard of proof that says, okay, this is something I can check independently. I can go to the bank and I can say, does this vault exist? Do you see what I mean? So yeah, gold exists, banks are real, this vault, the bank exists, things like that. But if I go to the bank independently and say, what's all this about, they'll probably say it's just a scam. How do we just wave away that evidence? I've explained why. The same way you can do that is the same way people like myself, TK and Steve, etc., can do the same with the paranormal evidence. You can do, but in my view, David, you do it wrongly. I think you do it You're not justified in waving away the evidence you wave away, and that's I think is my central disagreement with the three of you. And I tried my best to explain why. David says here on 78, I'm not sure if this comment will get through to you. It has a link in it, David, but it was in the spam folder. I've liberated it. As I'm going to try and post a link for you to a video that responds to your concerns about the T-word issue. There are a load of videos that completely explain all the points you've raised in your reply videos, and whilst I'd love to hear your thoughts on these different videos, it would take many hours of listening to get to them. I'll just try posting a link into one with a timestamp. Please give it a listen and see if you can identify with anything the caller is saying. Okay, let's have a look. This is to do with the T-word thing. You know what I mean by T-word.
Do you actually rent with Hertz?
Yes.
Oh, it's Matt Dillahunty. Right.
Love hurts.
Just ads clearing.
Moral reason.
All right. This is. Oh right. Okay. This is Matt Dillahunty. Now I know him. I actually know his. I know Matt Dillahunty. I've actually watched many times. He's a atheist-skeptic. He's talking to someone called David him in Arizona. Is Pride Stupid? Featuring Arden Hart. Hang out with Matt Dillahunty. Okay. This is 3 hours 11 minutes long. Is Pride... Okay, no problem. Whoops. You got to... So I don't have to watch the whole thing, but I will have a look through that, David. Certainly, I will have a look through that, and I'll try and provide an answer for you next time we speak on this matter. Okay. David, another video related to what you say you're worried about. Okay. Let's have a look at this one. But does it surprise you that I'm familiar with Matt Dillahunty and I watch a lot of his stuff? What's this? Oh, it's got a timestamp again. Oh, is this...
Kyle in Florida, who wants to talk
This is
about the Florida's Don't Say Gay
people.
bill and how to push back.
Katie Montgomery, Normal Naomi, Transatlantic. Alright. Kyle him, Florida. Okay, the line. Right, you okay? Well, David, I will endeavour to watch those things. Thank you very much. I don't have time for a discussion with this now, but there you go. I will get back to you on that. Okay, we have now Steve Mumbling, who says here on Grush 10 Days On, apparently the Iranian military is on its way. Oops, paste. Is on its way to Moscow to help your mate, Ben. I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. And I actually this is wrong, so I put like, oh, he's got a link to this thing called The Great Filter. I don't know what that is. Let's have a look. I don't think I actually looked at this. Okay, The Great Filter is an idea that the development of life from the earliest stages of abiogenesis to reach the highest level of development on the Kardashev scale. Alright, yeah, this is about, at some point they'll get so sophisticated they destroy themselves, and therefore... Carl Sagan brought this up. They'll just get so sophisticated that they just destroy themselves with... they'll destroy themselves with their own technology, like with nuclear bombs and things. And that's one, then they die. Brian Aldiss, the science fiction writer, also believed this. Now, and I said here, I actually put a text here. The Iranians said that the action by Prigozhin could be psychologically harmful, and I did a live stream about this, Steve. As really, the whole Wagner thing is just a storm in a teacup. I mean, Bowler Hatman made a video about it, and I put underneath, it's just a wildcat strike, for goodness sake, and it is. At the end of the day, this is a strike. That's all it is. It's already sort of like drifting away. Rhiannon Jones, hi Rhiannon. I'm a bit suspicious. Events like this happen all the time, especially in the summer months, but they don't end in mass faintings and unexplained symptoms. I think that the passing of time makes it difficult to get to the truth. Memories fade, and the government has had plenty of time to distract, misdirect, cover up, and pay off. It could be, Rhiannon, yeah. Unfortunately, because this happened in 1980, a lot of time's gone past. The victims are now sort of middle-aged or older. And again, it seems Christian does believe this is a result of some enormous incompetence. But really, you'd think they would know better, because the jazzy band festivals are not unusual, and summer is not unusual. And this was also the morning. This really happened sort of early on in the morning when it wasn't that hot. So there's no definitive answer to this. I mean, what Christian said made sense to me, but there's something a bit more happening, I think. But But that's interesting. Interesting you thought that. That's interesting input there, Honey Alan. So thank you very much. Glowtone 4082 says on Hollingwell. Rhiannon's question was her comment was on Hollingwell too. This reminds me of the film The Falling, starring Maisie Williams and Florence Pugh, where a young girl has numerous fainting episodes at school. It soon becomes an epidemic with other pupils and teachers collapsing with her, which leads the school to be temporarily shut down. Won't spoil the rest of the plot. Oh, The Falling, what's that? Let's have a look. 2014 film by Carol Morley. A British mystery drama film. Yeah, the film. Right, I see. This is interesting. Does it mention the? It doesn't mention the Hollingwell, but yeah, that's looks interesting. Looks interesting indeed. The Falling. Right, well, I will check that out. Glowtone, thanks. Wagner Rebellion live stream. Kate Dreyer. Hello, Kate. Says 4488. Kate Dreyer 448. Nice background. Oh, thanks, Kate. It's actually St Basil's Cathedral. It was built in the 16th century for the Tsar Ivan the Terrible. Yes. And Kate says here, did Wagner blow up Nord Stream? No, I don't think they did. Funnily enough, there's been some apparently new evidence discovered. They've discovered new evidence at Nord Stream lately. I don't have the details. I've only just heard about this. Because guess what, right? They found a pair of Russian divers' boots by the pipeline where the explosion was. They found Russian divers' boots. Yes, like they found a passport, didn't they? They found the passport of the World Trade Center, didn't they? Yes, and all the Qurans they were leaving around everywhere. It sounds a bit like that to me, Kate. It really, really does. You look familiar. Let me check your channel. I think I've seen you before somewhere. Let's have a look. Kate Dreyer. Yeah, you look familiar. Anyway, all right. Thanks very much, Kate. We're moving on. Hollingwell incident. TJ UK says, I had a. All right. This is the comment. This is the comment that I wanted to come to, actually, which I mentioned to David. I had a laughing attack when watching how disappointed you were when you found out it wasn't all the children falling down at the same time. No UFO evidence exists here. Oh, TK. Oh, dear. TK, you say some weird... Firstly, you say a lot of weird things. And sometimes I just don't understand you because you say contradictory things. But let's base on what you said here, right? What you have just said in this comment, in just 2 sentences, is kind of a good framing of what is wrong with the skeptic movement. What my criticism of the skeptic movement, the fact that the skeptic movement sets itself up as the ultimate. It's kind of like the purification of science and reason embodied in a community. We believe in science, reason, and evidence, and that's what we just want to get to the truth. If evidence existed for UFOs and mass and ghosts and demons causing children to faint, we'd believe it. All we want to do is the evidence. Really, we want to believe it. No, the skeptic movement is a cult. The skeptic movement is what this is. Just you've illustrated. The skeptic movement is really nothing more than a mutual masturbation circle. And what you just said here is exactly the thing here. I had a laughing attack when I watched how disappointed you were when you found out, etc., etc., no UFO evidence exists here. Firstly, well, I never said there was UFO evidence at the Hollingwell incident. No one mentioned UFOs. But the key thing is here, you saw how disappointed I were. Right, well, how do you know I was disappointed? You don't provide a timestamp here. You don't provide any evidence of what I say, or facial expression, or reading my body language, or statement analysis, or intuiting deep down, or thoughts wafting into your head, little angels and demons sitting on your shoulder, or anything like that. You provide no reason for explaining how you think I'm disappointed. I wasn't disappointed, actually, at all. And I'll say that, and you'll say, well, yes, you were. Yes, you. I just knew it. I just sensed it. And then, again, firstly, you don't explain why you know I'm disappointed. You watched how disappointed I were. Secondly, you had a laughing attack at... Assuming I was disappointed and downhearted, I had a laughing attack at that. Again, this is very typical of the skeptic movement. It's not about. Oh, well, is my thing frozen? No, it hasn't. I thought my clock had frozen. My countdown timer. It's not. Skeptics are people who have an ideological belief system. Things like UFOs, Bigfoot, the paranormal, etc., government cover-ups, etc., are not true. That's their ideological commitment. They feel. And that commitment, it also comes, I think, with a sadistic desire to see other people's pain or hurt. Are you familiar with the word Schadenfreude, TK? Let's look it up, actually. It's a German word, because it's a word apparently. German is a good language because German contains a lot of words. It's often mentioned by translators as being a language that's very difficult to translate exactly into English. There are others like Japanese and things like that, but German often comes up. There are several words in German which don't actually have a direct translation into English. Schadenfreude, pleasure. This is it. Pleasure derived by someone. Pleasure derived by another person's misfortune. And it says here, Schadenfreude is the experience of. This is Wikipedia. Is the experience of pleasure, joy, or self-satisfaction that comes from learning or witnessing the troubles, failures, or humiliation of another. It's a borrowed word from German with no direct translation into English. Right. So what skeptics do is they actually, when they come across somebody who believes in ghosts or UFOs or Bigfoot or government cover-ups, they then explain to them why they're wrong, and they do it, as I've explained before, using a number of fallacies, which I list. It's very often, sometimes they do it correctly because someone does believe in something that's not true, but more often they just use the series of fallacies that I list in my skeptic talk, and they say. And they say things like, and then they use those to discredit what this person is claiming, because they know this person, I think, what was it James Randi says, they don't just want these things to be true, they need them to be true. So this person obviously has gets a lot of, it means a lot to this person these things are real. And so they come along and say, well, these are not real. That person is going to feel hurt and upset that you're telling them that it's not real. Now, I think a lot of the skeptics actually do that specifically for that reason. And this is what you've just illustrated that you do that too. Because you believe that I was disappointed when I found out there was I agreed with Christian that is probably this has what Steve Mera calls a rational explanation. And then you said you had a laughing attack. So you gained some. So let me say, it made you happy that you believed that I was sad. Am I correct? It made you happy that you believed that I was sad. That I was saddened by this. And the skeptics do. They feel. It kind of gives them some kind of sustenance. There's a word for people like you, TK, and most skeptics. It's emotional vampire. You generate upset, or you cause upset in other people, and you gain some sustenance from that, some psychological sustenance from that. And that is exactly... And David Smith, I mentioned, because I'd seen this comment earlier, and I mentioned it to David Smith. This is one of the big problems with the skeptic movement. This is, I think, what inspires a lot of people to get into skepticism. It's for that reason. They just want to hurt others. I mean, I see, as you know, I interact a lot with skeptics, and some of them, they literally admit it. There was a guy he was actually on the original James Randi forum. He was also on the Darren Brown forum. I came across him, and he did a lot of what I call Debunking. Now, Debunking is... It's difficult to explain what Debunking is. Debunking, that's Debunk, it's a verb, D-V-A-R-K. It's a word I invented. It means to talk to people in a demeaning way that skeptics do, which is unique to them. I can't really explain it any better than that. But everyone knows when they see Debunking. When they see Debunking, they know exactly what it is. When they hear people Debunking at them. Now, one of the reasons is, I think now this particular, I can't even remember the name of the username, but I do remember his do you know they used to have like a thing underneath at the bottom of your post? There'd be a signature on the old PHBB forums, and his, I remember, was, "I am the thief who comes in the night and strips you of everything that you hold dear," or something like that. And now this is what you're doing, TK. You're doing the same thing. You're gaining satisfaction and happiness and joy, and from me being stripped of it. Now, do you think there's anything wrong with that? Think about that. Crafty Nice said underneath, his camera froze. That's why the nonplussed fizzog. I don't know what you mean there, Crafty. But I mean, I do have camera freezing problems at certain points, yeah. David Smith says on 78, most of your comments regarding the tea issue will be answered in the episode of Turf Wars in the first or second hour of this video. Alright, let's have a look. Is this Sargon of Akkad by any chance? Let's have a look. Alright, what's this? Oh, Turf Wars. This is from Katie Montgomery. I've heard of Katie Montgomery. I think she's been on with Kevin Logan occasionally. Katie Montgomery. Turf Wars, right. I've heard of Katie Montgomery, though. I've heard of her. She doesn't like mayonnaise. Alright, okay. Katie's a feminist, LGBT rights activist, atheist, metalhead, and insect enthusiast. Alright. Yeah, I've heard of. I think she's been on. Yes, I think she. Yes. Oh, she did this debate, didn't she? Yeah. She was on LBC. That's her on LBC. She was on the BBC doing a debate with. Oh, who was it? I think it was with this other woman about feminism or something. Yeah. But yeah, I've heard of Katie Montgomery. Oops, what's that? Okay, more texts being sent to me. Okay, so I'll have a look at that because I'm familiar with Katie Montgomery. I think she's been interviewed with Kevin Logan. I think she was on his. Kevin Logan is now only usually does Twitch now, which is annoying because Twitch is full of ads and you can't download the videos. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for that, David. Right. Every time you repeat, this is on 78. Every time you repeat extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence in a funny voice and then repeat it's good to be open-minded but not so open-minded your brain falls out, I don't get how that is a refutation. As you might say, that's rhetoric. It is. But the point I'm making is, as if you know, it's kind of a joke. I'm trying to take in the mickey, David. The point I'm making. Do I have to explain every bit of humour to you? The point I'm making is that this is kind of like the skeptics they like old jokes. They like repeating jokes, and they kind of find amusement from jokes telling the same joke over and over again. That's my point. Here we go. Like Steve said in one of his videos, a claim of someone has okay. This is the dog that flies. You don't need to assign extraordinary points. Well, we do need to assign extraordinary points, David. As I explained, if someone says they have a dog, you need maybe 3 extraordinary points for that because it's quite common. A lot of people have dogs. If the dog could fly, you need like about 20 or 30 extraordinary points. So yes, we do need to assign it. The words extraordinary, though, is if you're not going to talk about extraordinary points, you have to accept that the word extraordinary is qualitative, not quantitative. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't tell you much about the claim, except that you find it's a subjective expression. You're saying I find that claim extraordinary. Well, what does that mean? See, you need to be more specific. David continues. When you make that argument, you're actually saying that you think the claim of owning a dog is the same as having a flying dog. No, I don't. No, I'm not. Because if not, it would need the same kind of point system. How can you say anything is extraordinary if you need some kind of numbered scale before you accept it as extraordinary? It doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense, David. How can I say anything is extraordinary? Because you need a numbered scale, yes. But what I'm doing, I'm illustrating that you need a lot of evidence. You need evidence which says this dog can fly. It has wings. It has it has a jet engine up its bottom or something like that. That would be the standard of evidence necessary before I accept that a dog can fly. I mean, you could call it extraordinary if you want. As I said, extraordinary is a subjective statement. It is a qualitative assessment. It's not quantitative. It doesn't tell you anything about how much evidence exists, how much evidence is needed. It doesn't say anything like that, really. If something is out of the ordinary, not the norm, different from the standard, all the other ways to say it, like an event where many people die, etc., how many points are you assigning to people using explosions to terrorize others? Well, it depends on what the evidence is. I would probably assign... It depends on the context, because in some cases it is actually easier simply to plant a bomb and kill people. In other instances it's easier to use some kind of stagecraft. Depends on the circumstances, the flows of information, the presence of witnesses, the media, etc. If it's not extraordinary to you, then why do you question such events? If it is extraordinary, how many points are you giving it? Right, if it's not extraordinary, why do I question such events? Because I do believe that, for example, saying that... Alright, if you want to use the term extraordinary claims, the idea that 2 aircraft crashed into some big buildings and those buildings turned into clouds of dust and wafted away on the breeze has a high level of extraordinary points. I don't know how many exactly, let's call it 50 extraordinary points. Because the evidence that happened doesn't exist. The evidence that jet fuel and simply a collapse and the impact from aircraft caused that does not exist. That evidence, in my view, does not exist. And I have looked at both sides of this story. So, to say that's real when there's no evidence for it, and indeed the evidence that's been gathered contradicts that, is to use the subjective and qualitative assessment description, extraordinary. Hope that clarifies my position. Wagner, Popcorn Boxing says, just stop oil, stop the convoy. Yeah, I mean, who needs to blow up trucks when you've got just stop oil? Wagner, we have here, come on, get out of here. Oh, come on, get out of here. That's a good name. Dr. Sai, I've just noticed that too about the buildings. Some people call Putin Putler, which I think is really far-fetched. Alright, I can't see Dr. Sai's comment there, unfortunately. Popcorn Boxing says on St. Theo's, the Dreaming Spire page is deleted. Do I have a dream? Let's have a look. What, you mean on Facebook? Dreaming Spire. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you mean. Sorry. David says on 78, with regards to the recent UFO balloon event saying it's likely to be aliens versus I never said aliens, isn't really that different. Well, it is different. It's a claim about what I said, which is one of them is true, the other is not true. So I said it is likely to be aliens. I said it is likely to be aliens, but I never said it was definitely aliens. See, that's the difference. And David says, if I said it's likely not aliens, you would take that to mean I thought it was aliens. No, I'd take it to mean you thought it was unlikely it was aliens. You'd understand I don't believe it was aliens. Yeah. And belief is binary. You either believe it or you do not. No. Not necessarily. There is no 70, 80 or 90% believing in something, for example. You would either have a doubt and not believe, and have few doubts and not believe, have many doubts and not believe, or have doubts and believe. No. If you're dealing with an unknown situation, I'd say you don't know exactly what happened. I think it's likely that there was something extraterrestrial about this instance, simply because of the response, the media response, the response from the government, the way this was described, things like that. That's the reason why I thought it is likely there is something extraterrestrial or non-human about what happened. It was the product of a non-human intelligence. I don't know that specifically. I never said it was definitely aliens. I made 5 or 6 videos explaining this, exploring all the possibilities. We shouldn't believe something until it has good evidence to support it, ideally. Yeah. Accepting that it's likely true for a year is irrational. Okay, we shouldn't believe something until it has good evidence to support it, ideally. No, yeah, we shouldn't, although we should be open to the possibility that it exists, even if we don't have all the evidence yet, and I am. Accepting that it's likely true for a year is irrational. You wouldn't do it for a gold box scam. Just send them a few quid. All right. I think you've already made this point. No, you've made this point. I've already explained that, David. It's a bit like Pascal's wager with religious people. All right, yeah, that's Pascal's wager states that it's best to believe in God just in case, kind of thing. Because you're better off. You're better off if you believe in God and you're wrong. Well, you don't lose so much. But if you don't believe in God and you're wrong, you lose a hell of a lot. You end up in hell. That sort of thing. They claim it doesn't cost me anything to believe in God, but it does. Our beliefs don't exist in a vacuum. Well, it can cost you a lot to believe in God. I mean, you put money in the church plate, things like that. Religion can sometimes inspire people to commit great evil, in terms of terrorist bombings, things like that. They impact on how we think and behave. Yeah, I do. For example, if you believe in an afterlife, you might think you can make it up to people you fall out with in this one. That could be. You might indeed believe that, but well, I suppose if you could be wrong or right about that. But I mean, so long as you don't, so long as you don't think something like, well, I can fall out with anyone I like because I'll just make it up to them in the afterlife. So long as you don't get that thought in your head, then I don't think there's any harm in thinking otherwise, especially if what you think otherwise is true. I mean, you should watch if you haven't watched it already, do watch my review of the film The Discovery. Because that whole film focuses on that point. It's very interesting. You might also be supporting horrendous views about minorities or silly claim about how the Earth is, etc. Well, you might, yes. But I don't know if that's connected to the afterlife. I don't think it is, but there you go. With conspiracies and paranormal beliefs, it might not be as obvious, but there is still a cost. It leaves you open to believing and accepting all kinds of false claims which can impact your worldview, family life, circle of friends, and in some cases even your wallet. If it's wrong, then yes. The question is it right or wrong? If you're believing in something and you have reason to believe it's true, and it's not a false claim, then that would you agree that changes everything? Hollywell, Crafty Nihilist says right, Crafty says you look like a mind control victim. You haven't blinked for about 5 minutes. What, really? Oh my god, this is 1807.
Cross. We were ready for display when one or two children collapsed.
Oh, yes, I froze. Yes, my camera froze. Someone's already mentioned that. I did it. I went like that, and I remember that very well. And I actually had to end the Skype call with Kieran, and we had to start again. Okay, Crafty says here again on Hollywell, 2141. Now, how did you do that? Now say bottle of beer. Oh, what?
Children were. So that was the.
Oh, I'm a ventriloquist. I'm saying things without moving my lips. Yeah. Doomsday Conspiracy Read Party Introduction. Darren says numero uno. Well done, Darren, I say in a text message. Well done. Tinfoil hat is on its way. Pioneer Spirit. Porter's Pride and Dignity. That must be the saltiest drink ever, according to what's in the mug. Oh, right. It's feminist tears. It was, oh, yes. But they taste nice, I'll tell you. I love drinking them, Trevor. Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity to you, brother. Charles. Oh, this is an old one now. Charles. This is Gary Robinson. I love this, mate. It's mad funny, spot on as well. I've met guys like this from Das Street, lol. Yeah, Charles is the Charles who appeared on Project Avalon. He's the ultimate backslapper. He's a massive backslapper. And I wanted to take the piss out of him, but he wasn't amused. He got very angry with me, actually. Oh, that's the end. Okay, right. So that's at the end of an hour. Yes, it is. Right. Okay, guys, here we are, hour number 3, and we're almost through the YouTube comments, so it is going to be a bit of a short one this time. I put the third hour comment. Now, the comment notice replying. Thanks for your comment. I'm being a bit more intellectual. I'm putting third, second, first as words rather than just one with ST and two with ND after them. Trying to be sophisticated. Right, the Doomsday Conspiracy Read Party Introduction. It's a new video. Dopegar says MF Doom was a fantastic rapper, actually, and OD was a great album. R.I.P. He was young when he died. Yeah, he was only 49, and I've never heard of him before, but maybe I'll try listening, especially because he seemed to like this particular book. Tessa1111 said Burgess Meredith was in The Last Man on Earth Twilight Zone, who hated people, found the library, then and trips and breaks his glasses so he can't read. Yeah, that's true. I remember that. That's actually very like Matheson's I Am Legend. He is a guy who Henry Bemis, his name was Henry Bemis, a man like any other, and he's married to this horrible woman who just scrawled all over his books, and he's like this mild-mannered guy. Very short-sighted, visually impaired, wears glasses, but loves to read. And then but his wife keeps destroying his books. And then suddenly, there's this nuclear war, and he suddenly finds he's the last man on Earth. He finds this library, and then the ultimate irony, he breaks his glasses, and he says, "That's not fair. That's not fair." And it is, yes, I remember that very well. That's from the original first Twilight Zone series, Tessa. Yeah. Right, I think, is that it? Oh, that's it. That's the end of the YouTube comments. We're just going to go to BitChute now. So we're going to do BitChute. I will come back to YouTube to see if there are any new ones. But let's do BitChute. BitChute. Let's just see because my note, I've got itching. I'm itching again. Okay, so we'll go through the videos that I've uploaded since the last comments reply video first, and then we will, and then we'll go through the notifications. So, right, here we go, first of all. Reply to comment 78. No comments. I know I've got some somewhere. What dreams may come watch party live stream? No comments. Hollingwell instant update. No comments. Wagner Rebellion livestream. All got some comments. Good. Okay. Right. Hello, everyone. This is from someone called THWL, who says Wagner Rebellion is over. Lol, whoosh, done. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's sort of like it was a bit of a storm in a teacup, wasn't it? I mean, everyone was saying this is the end of Putin. He's going to fall. But at the end, of course, it's very, very anticlimactic. It was over by the end of the evening. And as I said to Bowler Hatman, this is just really a glorified strike. It's not the end of Putin. It's not a coup attempt. It's turned out to be, as I said, they wanted an audience with the defence minister because of the way they were being treated as employees and contractors. It's not even a mutiny because they're civilians. They're just private citizens working for the government, playing the role the military does, so that they can get around a few legal loopholes. And finally, the Doomsday Conspiracy Read Party introduction. I've had 2 likes on that, which is nice. But no comments. Okay. Now, funny enough, I've actually had a comment, believe it or not, on my backup YouTube channel. I don't often get those because I've only got one upload on there at the moment. But I've had a comment on there. Believe it. Yes, I have. I've had a comment. It just takes a while for the thing to open. But I will just have a look at that in a minute. What I'll do is, while I'm waiting for that to open, I'll go to the notifications. Right, so let's just scroll down. Let's just see how. I'm still waiting for Internet Explorer to open. Sorry, I've got Internet Explorer on already logged in on my other browser. All right, now I've got. Oh, it's Sweeps Fox. Sweeps Fox had a video here, so I was watching one of his videos here. This is the real independent. What's that called? Anyway, I said, thank God I'm not a child in today's world. Thank God my daughter's grown up. She says, agree with that, Ben. Damn difficult times to be raising a family with kids with all the social institutions and government and cultural destroyers of culture are actively tearing down our desirable foundation and values, infecting the world with opposition to truth itself. Thanks. You're welcome, Sweeps. Yeah. Yeah, and Sweeps. Yeah, good old Sweeps. Thanks, Sweeps. I like his stuff. And let's just have a look at the. Yeah, I've had a comment on YouTube. Here we go. This is really weird. This is really very strange. Here we go. Willie says here, what happened? All your videos are gone. Has our haul gotten to you? And I replied, well, actually, I replied to him in text. I said here, this is my backup channel. And he said, Willie, this is Wobbly Willie Williker, says, thanks, Ben. I've unsubscribed, though. Nothing personal, but you have too many stalkers in your comments, and I don't need the trouble. As I explained, Willie, I wish you all the best, Willie. Fair enough. But anyway, that's the end of that. Let's carry on down here. So just keep scrolling down. That's my comment on my backup channel. All right. I think I remember seeing a comment somewhere. I've certainly got one on Rumble somewhere. Let's go down. But at least the good thing is, at least Ray now has these notifications, which is a really good thing. It's really good. I get all notifications for my subs as well on BitChute, and I've got like loads of subs on BitChute. As I said, if anything interesting you can't find it on YouTube, it'll be on BitChute or Odyssey or Rumble. Yeah, just nearly there, guys. Sorry, there's nothing really I can do. Alright, that's it. So that's all the comments done. As always, mark as read. I won't make the mistake again of not doing it, and delete all. There we go. So that's all my notifications deleted, so I have a blank slate for the next one. Okay, so we'll go to Odyssey. I should have had all these pages open anyway, but I didn't. Odyssey. Showing results for Odyssey. That's it. So what's been people? I know I've got some comments on Odyssey. Okay, open notifications. As you know on Odyssey, you only actually get comments from about you get comment notifications only from about 10 days ago, which means if I get a comment on an old video from one before my most recent upload, I have to make a note of it separately and not just rely on notifications from Odyssey. Okay, so we'll go to my channel page. Okay. So what dreams may come 78. Sorry, no, what dreams may come. Reply to comment 78. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Ads. There's some ads here. There's some ad pain here. I'm actually, as I said, I'm glad. I'm glad there's ads on Odyssey. They're funding themselves. But people are talking about getting an ad blocker, incidentally, and the number of ads on some YouTube videos makes me want to do it actually. And I don't like doing that for reasons I've explained. I want your platforms to fund themselves, but YouTube has just been greedy. They're putting so many ads on things now. I'll tell you, there's one thing on YouTube I was watching, which was A Night to Remember, which was the original Titanic movie, and it's really good, and it's very dramatic, as you know if you've seen that, the Titanic story. And every so often, there'll be lifeboats going down into the sea, and people trying to get onto them and things like that, and then boom, they'd be cut. Oh, have you ever thought about zero accounting software? Yes, and Alright, here we go, right. When's that zero accounting software ads? Oh, they have that bloody zero accounting software ads always on there. With that horrible little lamb muncher. A really annoying little bloody lamb munching bastard. Running a business is like running a marathon in the desert with quicksand. Oh yeah, fuck off. Oh, no comments on that one. What dreams may come watch party live stream. Ad pain. There's loads of the ad pain's actually. There's a lot of differences between the plot. Scroll down. No comments. The Hollingwell incident update. No comments. Wagner Rebellion live stream. Now, I've got one on here, I think. So, I've got one. Yes, I have. I've got two, actually. I've got one from GeForce, who says, Russia 1, Wagner 0. Yes. And I got one from Ivan Koshedia. I can actually read a bit of Russian because I was actually learning Russian for a couple of months last year because I thought I might have to go and live there one day. Good video. However, at 4135, you said that the USA has by far the biggest armed forces, followed by China and Russia in third place. The actual order of the biggest active militaries is 1. China, 2. India, 3. USA, 4. North Korea, 5. Russia. Right, okay. Now, it depends how you... I think if you're measuring it in absolute manpower, then yes. Yes, I know, for example, that China has a reserve force of over 100 million people, which is enormous. I mean, when you consider there's only about 68 million people in the UK. So yeah, I mean, when you're talking in sheer manpower. However, if you look at the USA, or you're looking at it in terms of resource spending, then the USA is by far the biggest. For example, the USA has, I think, 12 aircraft carriers, and they're like the biggest aircraft carriers in the world, and there's 12 of them. Other countries, of course, have aircraft carriers, but they have fewer and they're smaller, I think. Things like that. All right. So in that sense, when you consider, I think USA arms spending is like about 55% of the entire world's arms spending. Things like that. It's a lot for a country that really is so geographically secure, as I've often said. You know, they've got a shining sea to the east and west. There's Canada to the north, Mexico to the south. The US military is not there to defend the homeland. The US military is there to project power around the world on behalf of the globalists, as I've often said. So thanks, Ivan. Thanks for that correction there, or sort of correction. It depends, like I say, on how you measure it. And GeForce, thank you. Russia 1, Wagner 0. Yep, indeed. Right, and Doomsday Conspiracy, read party introduction. No comments. Right. So we shall proceed immediately to Rumble and see what comment. I think I've got one on Rumble, if I remember rightly. I think I had one listed on. I had one listed on, if I remember rightly. I had an email notification, my content. We'll just do the usual and go through the recent uploads first. So reply to comment 78. No comments. What dreams may come, watch party live stream. No comments. The Hollywell incident update. No comments. Wagner Rebellion live stream. No comments. Right, and finally, the Doomsday Conspiracy read party introduction. No comments. Okay, so that's Rumble done. I'm now just going to go through my Rumble notifications by email. Okay, so let's have a look. You're currently subscribed. You're currently subscribed. Blah blah blah. I'm just scrolling down because at some point it'll actually say you previously commented. What's this? You previously commented on blah de blah. Here's the reply. So very true. Oh right, this is. Oh, that's on someone else's video. That was on Russian officials' voice support. Oh right, that was on actually on RT. I actually commented on RT. I just told them I don't believe NATO globalist propaganda. Not everyone in Britain does. A lot of people can see through it. Right, currently subscribed. Currently subscribed. Previously commented. What's this? Oh, that's again. That's on that. So currently subscribed. So I'm just going to stick Hexenhammer, Gateway Pundit, Freedom Channel Broadcast, We the People News. Let's go back. 20th. I think we're going back almost to where the last. Oh, this is Terry Joyce. That's 16th of June. I think we're back to where I think we're almost back now to where I don't know the exact cut-off point with the last comments reply video. Oh, here we are. Yeah, this is. Let's just have a look, because this was shadow banned by YouTube. I think I did reply to this person. Show 2 replies. Oh yes, I did. 18 weeks ago. 18 weeks ago. Alright, now this is... Alright, 2 replies here. 18 weeks ago. Alright, what's this? 18 weeks ago. That's a long time. It's someone called That's Bullshit. And I did actually reply to them in the comments reply video. It says I've already done it. So I assume now I've reached the end of... I think I've reached the end of Rumble there in that respect. Okay, so we'll just go back to YouTube now. Just have just refresh the channel comments. See what I got, and then if not, I'll just go look at notifications and see if there's anyone's put any comments in the notifications which have actually appeared while I've been filming this video. Let's have a look at health review. I'll just check the spam folder. There's nothing there. Okay, so I'm done with that. So now I will simply go to I'll just simply go to notifications once the browser catches up. I'm still recording, aren't I? Yeah, so we're nearly done now, guys. So notifications. Right, 2 hours. Right, I've had no comments at all while I've been filming this video. So that's kind of the end then. That's it, that's the end. So, yeah, that's it. So, thanks very much, everyone. Thank you very much for taking part in this comments reply video. I really much appreciate it. This is the 29th one. Obviously, the title says it all. If it wasn't for you making comments, there would be no comments reply video. So, I'm really grateful to everyone who's left a comment at this time. I hope you've all enjoyed yourself commenting on my videos. I know not everyone does. Sorry about that, but I believe I'm making this comments reply experience as good as I can for everyone, I think. And for all those who have unsubbed, like Willie, I wish you all the best for the future. In the meantime, what's going to happen next? Right. Actually, I better just check my notes. Double check I've got everything. Notes. Yeah, I've got everything. Okay. I'm going to be quiet for a while. I'm not going to be uploading probably for at least a week now. And the reason for that is I'm going to be away. I'm going to be away at the Dorset Earth Mysteries group. I'm appearing there on Thursday. If you want to come along, just go to dorsetearthmysteries.org. Well, I'll be doing my Helen Duncan talk there. I have to rehearse for that and prepare. Even though it's an old talk, I haven't done it for a while. I need to remind myself. So I'm going to be busy for the next couple of days doing that. Well, what's happening is I'm coming back on the Friday, although, well, you'll be glad to know I will be making a video reportage of my time there. So when I come back, I will upload that, which will probably be the weekend, because I'll be back Friday night. After that, the following Monday, I'm going to the Isle of Man for my trip there. And that's going to be a long one. That's actually going to be 8 days away. So it's the longest time I've been away, actually, for years. You know, the usual 4-day weekends. This is going to be longer. So during that period, I will be making a video reportage. And again, when I come back, which will be probably the 18th, 19th, probably about the 20th of July, there will be an upload, which will be my comments reply video. Right. Unless the alternative, I'm taking my laptop and things with me, just in case we get disclosure while I'm away, and I'll have to do a live stream or something from where I'm going to be at the Isle of Man. Let's hope they've invented Wi-Fi in these far off corners of the world. You know, maybe they have a cargo cult or something to do with the internet on the Isle of Man. I don't know. And they'll have little wooden models of routers or something like that. Anyway, thanks everyone. Obviously, I'm not going to see you for a while now, so thank you all of you. I will stay in touch with you all, those I know. Some of you I will be seeing, because some of you I know are going to attend the lecture. A couple of people I watch are going to be on the Isle of Man too. I think there's about 7 or 8 of us going, so that'll be nice. And I will see you all again very, very soon. And don't forget, I will be updating HPANWO Voice in the meantime, so check out that blog, the HPANWO Voice blog. HPANWO Radio, I'm doing the gas banner tomorrow night, but apart from that, there probably won't be any HPANWO Radio shows while I'm away. Third Rail also I'll have to take a break from, probably, unless Trevor wants to do some solo shows. So, yeah, there'll be a slight HPANWO hiatus for the next couple of weeks, but I will return. when I come back from the Isle of Man. If I haven't been put into the pot and eaten with the rest of my tour by the natives who do practice. I think they do practice cannibalism over there, so I better watch myself. In the meantime, thank you all of you for watching HPANWO TV. I really appreciate all of you. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.
Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids, psyops, saucers and black triangles, HPANWO.